Frugal or cheap? Which one are you? Let's settle this once and for all. Welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and today we're going to talk about frugal versus cheap. And we've done this before, and this is just a little different twist. We're going to try and play a little game. So I'm going to ask you some questions. I'd like you to go to comments and answer them if you could. Would you use a tea bag 3 times? Think about it. Would you use a Keurig pod 3 times? I would have to wonder, how does that taste? Because they are one single serving things, a tea bag and a pod. So what do you think? I have a friend who does it, but how does the coffee and the tea taste? I don't think it tastes like coffee or tea, but I could be wrong. Let us know if you do that. What about walking 5 miles? Would you walk 5 miles to avoid paying a $5 parking fee in a parking garage or a parking lot? I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean that it's not the frugal thing to do if you can manage walking 5 miles, which is quite a distance. You'll wear out your sneakers, you'll be short of breath, and your knees will be aching and your hips will be aching. So for us, it's probably not a good idea to do that. It's kind of a stupid question, actually. So we're going to be diving into the fine line between being frugal and being just plain stingy. And there are people who are just plain stingy. And I would like you all to tell me what you think of some of the things that I'm going to be asking you. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, so I would like you, if you could, to write in the comments whether you think these things are frugal or not. Some of them are more frugal than others. Some are not frugal at all. Some are cheap. Do you think that tipping the bare minimum is frugal or cheap? Now, when I'm talking about tipping, I'm talking about the hairdresser, the barber, the server, the housekeeper, the waitress, people that you would typically, the taxi driver. There's usually a minimum and a maximum amount that you would tip. I always get nervous when I have to figure out tipping. There was one time in my life that I used to have this little tip table because I couldn't figure out the math, but I've sort of figured that out now, how to do it. But you can't even get through a checkout without it asking if you want to give a tip. And it only goes down so far, so that must be the minimum amount. I'm sure you can give whatever you want for a maximum amount. But if there's a minimum amount, and then maybe that's acceptable. But I would urge you to think about the people that are getting the tips. They're people that are doing a job that usually has a very low hourly rate, and sometimes no hourly rate. They get commissions on what they do, like the hairdressers, I don't know. But they don't make a lot of money, and they count on their tips for their livelihood. So I think that you need to take that into consideration when you're deciding to be cheap or not tipping at all. Some people do that too. Buying quality items versus buying cheaper items. You can get usually anything, you can get cheaper items, a different brand, a brand that's not quite as well known as the brand that you would like. In my opinion, buying a quality thing like an appliance or a piece of equipment or kitchen gadget or whatever pays for itself in the long run, especially if you buy it when it's on sale. What you need to do is you need to keep buying, and keep looking for sales and buying then, especially large items like a car or like a dishwasher, which I didn't buy mine on sale, and it was probably on sale the next week. So I didn't practice what I'm preaching, but if you're probably saving money in the long run because you're buying a better quality thing that will last longer, require less repairs, and won't have to be replaced as often. So instead of waiting for your friends to buy something and then borrowing it and never returning it, maybe you should just buy something that's quality. Fixing things yourself. When you own a home, when you own a car, when you own a wheelchair, there are things that have to be done, things that have to be fixed. You have to, first of all, you have to maintain everything. Maintain everything so that your house doesn't get devalued and you don't look like a slum out in the backyard. And maintain things. It's easier to maintain them. Be proactive rather than reactive. If your house needs painting and you can't afford it, then you've got to figure out a way to get it done. You've either got to do it yourself, like I did. Here I am, I'm bragging. I painted my house. I painted most of it. I didn't paint it all, but it needed to be done. And what happened is I painted every square inch of it that I was comfortable with. I couldn't get to the eaves. I did go up on a ladder, but not one of those big extension ladders. I was afraid that I'd fall. So I invited my kids to come, and they did come on a weekend. They spent basically the good part of a day finishing up what I hadn't done. So I didn't pay anything to have my house painted except for the cost of the paint, and I was very happy with it. Then once it was painted, I wanted shutters. And I wanted window boxes because I always wanted window boxes, even though in my mind I know that they are a pain in the neck to maintain. And yes, they are a pain in the neck to maintain. However, I invited my girlfriend over, and she came over, and she and I both, she is a little younger than me, maybe 20 years younger, 15 years younger. I don't know because I never know what her age is. Do you believe I forgot her birthday this year? She's really like a good friend. Anyway, she helped me make shutters and window boxes for my house. And I helped her. I worked right alongside of her. And I learned how to use I don't know if it a jigsaw or whatever cuts out. I cut out looms on my shutters. So I have shutters with looms. Someday I'll show you those. But I was very pleased with them. But I couldn't have done it without her, but I did it myself, and it cost me the cost of the wood and the paint. You can't duct tape everything. It's not a piece of decoration. It's a temporary fix. How about splitting the restaurant bill right down the middle? Equal share for everybody. Which is fine if everybody had the same thing. But if you got the special and someone else got the most expensive thing on the menu, and then they had a glass of wine or a drink or something in addition to that, and you order water with yours, well, it hardly seems fair, does it? I don't think it is fair. You need to ask for separate checks right off the bat and pay it that way because it isn't fair. Just my opinion. I used to feel like just split it. Stop haggling over this. There's a stereotype about elderly women who go out to lunch and how they're always like nitpicking the bill. Well, I can relate to that now because I don't have unlimited funds. So, I can't casually say, well, just let's split it. And yeah, sure, she can have 3 drinks and I have my glass of water with a lemon in it. It's not fair. So, how about Cutting your own hair. A lot of frugal minded people, a lot of people that do videos on being frugal, do not cut. I mean, they do cut their hair, they do not go to the hairdresser. Now, this is one thing that I am not willing to do. I do think that it is a frugal activity if you can cut your hair. But what I chose to do, and I don't know, I'd love to have you share what you do, is I actually, when I looked at my finances, I looked at how much money I was spending on the hairdresser, and it was quite a lot. $55 every 5 to 6 weeks. I have not had my hair cut since I went on that no spend January, and I didn't spend any in February. And so far in March, I've done good until today, which I'll share with you in another video. But I have saved $160, and my hair actually looks better because I was trying to get this spiked look, but I think it actually looks better longer. But it's time for me to go to the hairdresser. I'm going to try and stick it out the rest of March, and then I'm going to go April. So that tells me that I can probably go quarterly instead of once every 5 to 6 weeks. That will save me a lot of money in the long run, which I need to do. So I think cutting your own hair is a frugal thing, but I can't do it, and I would not do it. I would do it if I had to. Any of these things that I'm kind of snickering about, I would, if I had to, I would do it. Trust me, I'm living a lot different than I was 3 months ago. How about giving homemade gifts? Is that a frugal thing or is that a cheap thing? Once again, I think that it's a frugal thing. I think it's really nice to get a homemade gift. I would prefer to get a homemade gift rather than, stopping on Walmart on the way to a birthday party where there's no thought to it. So let me tell you the story of how I tried to make frugal Christmas gifts this year. I'm also trying to be contributing to the waste and landfills. I'm trying to use less and be more environmentally friendly. So I decided I was going to make all the women in my immediate circle, I was going to make them beeswax wraps. And beeswax wraps are a substitute for saran wrap or foil, something that you would cover your dishes with. It's material that's covered in beeswax, jojoba oil, and resin. I watched about 25 to 50 videos, honest to God. I watched every single one of them. There's a couple of different methods that you can use. I selected the one that I thought was the most manageable and easiest, and I did it. What a mess I made. It was awful. I had wax dripping everywhere. I couldn't get the resin to melt in the wax. Now, everybody in the videos that I watched did. But anyway, I packaged them all up and I went to use mine because I made some for myself because I'm trying to be frugal and I'm trying not to be as wasteful. Well, it wouldn't stick on the bowl. So I made all these beeswax wraps and they didn't work. So let me tell you what I did. I packaged them up anyway, not for my friends, but my children, my daughter and daughter-in-laws. I packaged them up very nicely in a box with a couple of other things. It wasn't a total waste. And my daughter opens it up and she said, "Mom, did you make these beeswax wraps?" And I said, "I sure did." And she was tickled. And I said to her, "But they don't work." They don't work. So I said, "See those elastics that I have in the box?" And she said, "Yeah." I said, "You're going to have to use the elastics to make them to go around the bowl." So we had a good laugh about it, and I didn't give my friends them. I still use them. They're usable, but I don't use elastics. But I bet the minute they got home, they all threw them in the trash because a couple of them wouldn't even know what they were. So, and I did give them other gifts. I gave them all hand-painted ornaments and pictures and things that I had made. So I think that it still can be frugal, but I'm off the beeswax tangent. Here's the last one. Now, there are people that are extremely frugal, and they wash their Ziploc bags and they reuse them until they disintegrate. Now, I think that's crossing the line, actually. I reuse my Ziploc bags. I have even before I decided to be frugal. I save them and I use them to pick up dog vomit or cat vomit or something unpleasant that I don't want to deal with. I just put my hands in it, like a poop bag for the dogs. I line my compost canister that I have on the counter where I throw all my vegetable peelings in. But I do not rinse them out. My feeling is that if you have to wash Ziploc bags like they are fine china, and then you have to spread them all over your kitchen and look at them for several hours because there's water inside of them, and they're plastic, so it takes a long time. Somebody could probably argue with me, and I'm probably going to get a lot of flack if anyone watches this video. But I think that if you are washing and drying your Ziploc bags that much, that you are slowly approaching the danger zone. Once again, if I had to, I would. It's not beneath me. It's just that I don't feel like it's necessary for me at this time, and I'm comfortable with the way I reuse them. So, all right, folks, this is it. I tried to make it as short as I could. Be smart, save money, reuse things when you can, but don't take all the fast food condiments out of McDonald's. Leave some for the rest of us. A lot of elderly people do that. I want to thank you all for watching this video. I want to apologize for the video that was released on relaxation. The quality of it was terrible, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm kind of embarrassed by it, actually. But it is what it is, and we must move on, and we must just accept ourselves the way we are. So thank you for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and write in the comments what you think of some of the frugal ideas that we talked about. I think it would be a lot of fun.